Okay, thank you very much all for coming. We appreciate that you have spared your day to come and celebrate with us the World Wildlife Day. So we are just waiting for the guests, guest of honor. We already seen one who has come, the Undersecretary, Minister of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities. You're welcome, Sam. So in a couple of minutes, we wait for the others to come, and then we start. We have a full day. So for those who are used to attending our public talks, which are always an afternoon talk, today we have got a full day. I hope you'll be able to be there full time. Now, I just wanted, in the meantime, as we're waiting for the chief guest to come, to take you through the program of the day. I hope some of you, or most of you, already have this program. Do you? If not, maybe our colleagues in the PA system could actually display on the board so that people can see it. So if you have got the program, please, you can display it so that members in the room can see what we are going to do. But this is a hybrid event. So we have got our colleagues also who are online so that they can follow our discussions. Sorry, it looks like we are getting full. So those who don't get seats, please, I don't know how to deal with it, but I may request my colleagues who are outside, we can pick a few chairs from the next room so that after this first opening session, then we can carry the chairs, they're very light, we can carry them to the next room rather than have people waiting for 2 or 3 hours. So I think all of you probably know that on the 3rd of March, we celebrate World Wildlife Day. It's a global event that came up from United Nations General Assembly resolution in 2013 that we recognize how important wildlife is to us, to our lives. In Uganda in particular, you probably know that we are almost dependent on wildlife, natural resources. Whether it is food, a large part of our medicine, our building materials, and many others. Our economy now, we depend on wildlife. And when we're talking about wildlife, it's not only animals. It is both animals and plants. And whereas this is a global event, but I think Uganda will have even more reason to celebrate this because our country is largely dependent on natural resources. The theme for this year's World Wildlife Day is connecting people and the planet. And a sub-theme, more specifically, exploring digital innovations in wildlife conservation. And in this digital revolution or evolution, this is a very a very good topic to look at this time. And what we are going to be looking at the whole day will be experiences about where Uganda is in this digital innovation in wildlife conservation. So on the program, and I don't know why it is not yet on the screen. Please, if you have it on the screen, you put on the screen. We have got 4 sessions today. The first session is the opening ceremony, and this is the protocol, and we shall get the guest of honor, will wave us off, and then we shall have a keynote speech or keynote presentation by the Executive Director of Uganda Wildlife Authority. The presentation will be about combating illegal wildlife trade and trafficking, and he will raise, I'm sure, a number of strategies that the ministry or government is taking to combat wildlife trade and trafficking using the digital innovations. Oh, there you go. So we have it. Thank you very much. So after the opening ceremony and after the plenary, we shall have 2 parallel sessions. We shall have 2 parallel sessions. So one session will be in this room, another session will be in the next room, in the main gallery of the museum. So if you choose to attend the next session, it will be in the next room. There's a team of ushers who will be able to guide you in the next, to the next room. In the first session, which will be here, it will be chaired by our own, whom we all know very well, Dr. Panta Kasoma. We'll have 2 presentations. One will be by Dr. James Musinguzi, the Executive Director of Uganda Wildlife Authority, and will be about the role of zooplankton in conservation. You will get to understand what some of these words mean when the presenters come. The second presentation will be looking at the role of digital tracking devices, the smart technology. Again, you will hear more about this smart technology in monitoring biodiversity. It will be done by one from Worldwide Fund for Nature, or WWF as we know it, who have been taking lead in this area. Now the second session, so that group will remain here. So that first session will remain here. The second session will be looking at data analysis and predictive modeling by Dr. Herbert Kasozi from Makerere University. And the second one will be on improving the licensing regime under the Convention of International Trade in Endangered Species, CITES, and it will be done by Mr. George Owesijire, who is an acting commissioner in the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities, who also, I think the ministry is also the focal point for CITES convention. So if you are interested in CITES and the licensing regimes of conventions and the technologies involved in that, you will be in the next room. If you are interested in data analysis and modeling we shall be in the next room. You'll be guided. Okay? And then that will take us up to lunchtime. I'm coming back to logistics. That will take us up to lunchtime. After lunch, we shall also have 2 sessions. The first session will be here again, and the next one will be in the same room over on the other side of the museum. So the first session will be chaired by Dr. Matthias Behangana, and it will be looking at 2 topics. The first one will be the role of molecular labs in Uganda as digital innovations for wildlife conservation, and shall have a case study of one of the best labs that we have now, based at Mbeya in Queen Elizabeth National Park, to be presented by Dr. Margaret Drusil. The second topic will be on the role of academic institutions in wildlife conservation research using technology. It will be done by Mr. Robert Baruku from the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities. The third presentation, which I need to be guided by my colleagues. At the beginning, he had wanted to make it online, but looks this situation changed. We shall see what happens. We shall be happy if he comes. But it will be about using digital innovations in tracking illegal wildlife trade. And shall be looking at examples showing pros and cons in Uganda by Mr. Patrick Chio from Wildlife Forensic Network. And then the second session, so there are 2 sessions, that's why I'm calling them parallel sessions. They will be going at the same time. So you need to decide which one you are going to be looking at. After every presentation, you can always decide to come back or go back or go to the other side if you think the interesting topic is being presented in the other room. So in the other room, we shall have another session which will be looking mainly at data sharing, chaired by Dr. Akite Perpetua, and we shall be looking at 3 topics as well. One is local-based monitoring, citizen science, presented by Mr. Jimmy Muhebwa, as the Director of Conservation at Nature Uganda. The second one will also be looking at data sharing and collaboration platforms. It's also presented by a program manager from Nature Uganda, Mr. Michael Chibule. And the third one will be looking at data visualization and analysis technology, the Earth Ranger, presented by, I hope to be Michael from Uganda Conservation Foundation. Up to yesterday evening, we had a meeting of members of IUCN in Uganda, and I was already being blamed for not including some institutions on the presentations, which means there's a lot more that we can explore, a lot more that's being done, but we cannot put it together in one day. So what we have done is that in November this year, we shall organize a much larger conference, scientific conference, to look at a little bit more wider topics in conservation. But we shall let you know when time comes about that event. And finally, towards the evening, we shall come back all in the plenary here and have closing plenary, have a summary, and then have closing remarks from the ministry. Okay, so that is the topics for discussion. So immediately after the opening ceremony, we're a little bit behind schedule, but I hope we shall catch up with time. After the plenary presentation by Dr. Sam Mwanda, we shall have a break. We shall have a tea break. So the tea break is, again, you'll be guided. It is in a room through the museum down into towards the opening. Somebody will guide us to where the tea break is. And also, at lunchtime, we shall have lunch. This is the first time that Nature Uganda is providing lunch when we are having a public talk, so this is a special event. I hope you are not going to expect more lunch at other public talks next time. So this time we shall have lunch. And again, you'll be guided where the lunch is. And then we'll come back for the afternoon session. And then at about 3 o'clock or thereabout, we shall have another tea break, and then we'll come back for the plenary. So that's how the program is going to be running. Let me introduce our session chairs. Our plenary is going to be guided by Dr. Kasoma, who until recently was the chairman of the board of Uganda Wildlife Authority. Dr. Kasoma. You're welcome, and we are happy to see you. He will also chair the first session after break. The second session, where you see those who have got the program, Mr. John Makombo. This session will be guided by Mr. Charles Tumwesije, the Director of Conservation at Uganda Wildlife Authority. Thank you very much for coming. And then after break, the first session will be chaired by Dr. Matthias Biangana, the Habsman. Okay, there you go. Okay. He's an endangered species. He's the only expert we have on frogs and amphibians. So, yeah. Okay, and then the other will be chaired by Dr. Akite Perpetua. I don't know whether she has come. If she has not come, we shall introduce her when she's here. Okay. All right, thank you very much. As I mentioned, just a couple of minutes, I consult about the guest of honor, and then we get started. But I think I would be very unfair if I didn't introduce one of the dignitaries that has already reached, and he's been quite regular in our public talks. The Under Secretary, Minister of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities, sir, you are most welcome. Thank you very much for coming and keeping time. So let me consult briefly, and then see how to get started. Thank you very much. Members, you can give a hands or clap to welcome our guest of honor, Dr. Chris Wadiomonsi, the Minister for ICT and National Guidance. Honorable Minister, thank you very much for gracing our occasion. Okay, so I have been guided that the Minister for Tourism is on the way coming, and we can get started so that we don't get delayed for the other programs. So. Okay, so colleagues, again, thank you very much for coming. We have a full room very early in the morning. You are most welcome for joining us to celebrate wildlife conservation in Uganda. I had mentioned earlier that Uganda, it is even more important that we celebrate this because we almost fully dependent on natural resources, whether it is food, whether it is economy, whether it is water, whether it is building. So this day is extremely important for us. But you will hear more about this from our colleagues. And the theme for Wildlife Day for 2024 is connecting people and the planet, exploring digital innovation in wildlife conservation. And I'm happy to see that our minister responsible for information technology agreed to join us for this day. I'm sure we shall learn a lot from him on how digital innovation is driving not only conservation but other areas in the economy. We all know that today is being celebrated all over the world, but for us here, I want to highlight how digital conservation technologies and services can drive wildlife conservation, sustainability, and also very important in combating wildlife trade and trafficking, which is a menace for those who are working in conservation world, and especially in this increasingly connected world. So the global innovation, global revolution is breaking barriers, and this connectivity should be an opportunity for us, and we need to explore the power of this in transforming our conservation world. As I had mentioned earlier, we have only one day, so we cannot include everything, but in November this year, we are going to have another scientific conference that will explore even more topics about conservation in Uganda. So welcome, and that other scientific conference in November, you will get to know as time goes on. So I had already introduced the session chairs. The chair for the opening ceremony is Dr. Kasoma, and I think my role of introducing the event is probably going to end here, and I will invite the session chair to get us started, and then the floor will continue into the afternoon as I had already guided earlier on. So thank you very much. You're welcome. And Dr. Kasoma will take us through the opening event. Thank you.
Thank you, Achilles. Colleagues, you're very welcome to this part of celebrating the World Wildlife Day, which, as you've been informed, is on the 3rd of March. But we begin early, so we've already started. You know, Ugandans like celebrating, so we've started the celebration. And part of this is this conference today. Dr. Robert Kityo is the chairman of Nature Uganda. He should have been the one here chairing this session, but he's in the field and he's unable to be here. I'm on the committee for Nature Uganda, and so he asked that I stand in for him. The way, it's funny the way things work, because Robert Kityo is my boss, but he was also my student. Those are the way things go. So, as you've been told by the Executive Director of Nature Uganda, this is the opening session. We are fortunate that the guest of honor, has found time to be with us this morning. These people are busy, and all sorts of things are happening. So to see that he has been able to make it here shows you how important he feels about this subject. Because he's in charge of ICT here in Uganda. And of course, he would like to see it more widely used. And in conservation, this is one of the opportunities to showcase how we can use ICT to enhance conservation in this country. We've always done it, those of you who are old enough, you know the way we've been doing things, manually, basically, chasing poachers and doing this on foot. And as advances came up, people would use vehicles. But now there are innovations that are coming up where you can actually identify where these poachers are using technology. So technology is going to make a change, not only here in Uganda, but the rest of the world as well. And we wouldn't like to be left behind. So let's embrace technology. The meeting, as you know, of course, is organized by none other than the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities as the parent ministry for wildlife conservation in this country. And so, that's why the permanent secretary is here to welcome you participants to this meeting. My role is really to invite them here to welcome. It wasn't really my role to welcome you. It is the ministry's role to welcome you. Madame Doreen has not been able to be here, but she delegated a very powerful member of the ministry, the Undersecretary, who is here, and she can come in and he can come in and welcome you to this meeting. We hope that by the time he's done, the minister himself will have arrived, so that the guest of honor doesn't give his speech and then the minister has to give a speech afterwards. So thank you, Mr. Undersecretary. Please come and welcome the... you see, what happened is that Achilles led me to believe that I was just chairing this session, but it seems as if there's an item we forgot. We should have come earlier. And for a former seminarian, I think that's a great omission. we should have had a prayer and then anthems played before. So, who is leading the prayer?
Mr. Jonathan Bushara.
Oh. Yes, a member of the Committee of Nature Uganda, Mr. Bushara is here to lead us through the prayer. So, Jonathan.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Mine is a simple one, and it's the prayer. But before I say this prayer, there's a very good verse in Genesis that gives us an instruction on conservation. It's very clear, and we all know it. Some of you who know the Bible, if you allow me, it's just one verse. And this is what it says. Then God blessed them and said, "Be fruitful and multiply. Fill the earth and govern it. Reign over the fish in the sea, the birds in the sky, and all the animals that scurry along the ground." And that is the conservation instruction, to have dominion over the earth, over the world, over the animals, over the planet. So let us humble ourselves and pray. Dear Lord, we want to thank you so much for this opportunity. being able to gather as conservationists to come and discuss and pave a way forward for conservation. We thank you for all those that have made it. We thank you for the guests of honor. We thank you for the leaders in the plenary. We thank you for all of us who will have a benefit or will pick up something today. May you give us the wisdom. May you guide us as we deliberate. And for those on their way, may they find a safe route to get to this place. We pray that this will not end here. As we discuss, we will continue with it in our various respective capacities, wherever we'll be. Even those online, oh Lord, may they be blessed and may they enjoy this session. May this be the beginning of a new chapter for not only Uganda, but for Africa. We thank you and we give you praise. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. And the anthems?
Thank you for those anthems. I presume everybody knows what those anthems are about. Because if you don't, it would be a pity. Undersecretary, please, you come and welcome the guests, participants. Thank you.
Our guest of honor, Honorable Dr. Baryomunsi, Minister of ICT and National Guidance. In absentia, allow me to recognize the presence of the Minister of State for Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities, Honorable Martin Mugara. Honorable Martin Mugara, our chief guest, I want to kindly inform you that he should have been here on time. But yesterday, he traveled to Bologna. The function, like this morning, also delayed to start, and it finished late. So by the time he left Bologna, he got to his house this morning at 4 a.m. So he was not able to organize himself and be here in time, but I've just been talking to him. He says he's just about 15 or 20 minutes away. So apologies for the delay, but the minister is joining us. Honorable members of Parliament who are here, Your Excellencies, ambassadors, if any, senior government officials, development partners, practitioners in wildlife conservation, members of the private sector, members of the academia, representatives of conservation NGOs and CCOs, the media, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I want to introduce myself. My name is Kakula Kirome Samuel. I work as Undersecretary in the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities. And for purposes of this meeting this morning, I have been assigned by my principal, the Permanent Secretary, Madame Doreen Siovokatsime, to come and stand in for her and do a simple job. She asked me to come and sincerely welcome all of you, our chief guest mainly, because as a ministry we recognize that you are a very busy person. But allow me say that when we're selecting the chief guest, we looked at all possible personalities. And as a minister, we said, who can fit in the theme for today? Connecting people and the planet and using digital innovations to do wildlife conservation. And nobody scored more than yourself, my minister. You came out #1 on the list, and we unanimously agreed that we invite you this morning on this one activity among several activities to commemorate the World Wildlife Day to be the chief guest. The other reason which we thought is critical for your selection as a chief guest is the fact that as a minister, you know, you have been passionate about issues of conservation. But most importantly, Honorable Minister, as a ministry, we appreciate every effort you normally take to give information concerning the tourism sector. And for this, I want to request members to clap for our minister. Chief guest, colleagues, and participants, I want to say that tourism is a dynamic sector. It is affected by so many things that happen, both in the environment, politically, and economically. But those that have happened and have negatively affected us have come from, in terms of communication, from the media. At times, we give wrong information. We don't give appropriate information. But Honorable Minister, as a minister, we are glad that whenever we have had issues and information has not been accurately conveyed to the public, you have come out eloquently, you have come out vividly, you have come out clearly and clarified and provided the information that our people want to hear. I don't take that for granted. As a person, I remember when we had the incident in Queen Elizabeth, where our tourists were torched down. As a ministry, we were still grappling with what to say, and the Minister of ICT was already telling the public what had happened, what the government was doing, and what we expected to hear. And even when government, using our organs, systems, military, police, and others, when government tracked down these criminals, again, our chief guest was on TV and on radio and provided the update on what government had done. And indeed, that helped us to improve the image of tourism in the country. So, chief guest, we are grateful for the support you provide, both in your capacity as a minister of ICT, but also as a passionate member of the conservation family. So, on behalf of the PS, I can now go back to the official remarks. On behalf of the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry, Madame Doreen Siovokatsime, I'm delighted to welcome you here. We appreciate that you have a busy schedule, but amidst all that, you have taken off time and you have agreed to be with here, at least to officiate at the opening. Honorable Minister, distinguished guests who are here, I appreciate all the contributions you've been giving to us as a sector, but most importantly, for this year, the effort you have given us to prepare for the World Wildlife Day, which will be celebrated in the district of Kyenjojo on 3rd March. It is expected that His Excellency the President will grace that occasion. Honorable members, ladies and gentlemen, as we celebrate and commemorate the contribution of wildlife to humanity, we need to appreciate that there are lots of challenges that are facing this effort. One of them, and it's a bigger one, is climate change. Honorable Minister, we hope that during this workshop, this conference, the participants here will spend adequate time to discuss issues that relate to wildlife conservation, that affect environment management, especially as we advance in the technology. And this is where the theme of our discussion originates from. The conference is organized as a series of activities. Today we are here, we're going to have a marathon. We shall also have other discussion, public talks, that will now culminate into the final day of 3rd March. As a ministry, I wish to take the opportunity to invite you to come and participate in those activities, because there is no other way we can raise public awareness about wildlife conservation and the benefits it derives to our people if we don't give that publicity and if we don't participate actively. Ladies and gentlemen, as I've already alluded, Uganda will join the rest of the world to commemorate the day on 3rd March at Kyenjojo. As a ministry, I again take the opportunity to invite all of you to Kyenjojo. My minister, my senior minister, is already on the ground in Kyenjojo for basically 2 reasons. One, to oversee the arrangements that are in Kyenjojo, because Kyenjojo is his home district. So he wants to have a function that befits the day. But most importantly, is also run there to try and address the issues, if you read the papers, of elephants and which attacked people. And this issue of human-wildlife conflict is becoming a bigger issue in terms of conservation efforts. You're most welcome, Honorable Minister of State. Honorable Minister, while you are away, I rendered my apologies at my level as acting PS. But now that you are here, you are most welcome. And we are on agenda item number 2. We are making remarks by the Permanent Secretary. And I was about to conclude my remarks by inviting participants here and others who are not here to come and join the ministry and celebrate the day in Kyenjojo. Honorable Minister, Honorable Ministers, the theme for today is so pertinent because you cannot conserve without technology. People want to access information timely. People want to look at things in real time. This idea of doing it the way we did during my days, it was okay. Now it is not okay. People want to see things and learn them and even confirm. Now you can't only claim that you have gorillas in Bwindi, but people will be checking online to see are there gorillas and what do they look like, that kind of thing. So, honorable ministers, today we are spending the whole day here, and we are going to have a plenary discussion where we shall have a general comments, issues. Then later on we'll break up in sessions where we shall tackle specific issues. I invite participants who are here to use these two opportunities to give us your ideas, because as a ministry we want your ideas. Tourism is private sector led, and we cannot sit there as government and think that we will do so on our own without your input. So I want to appeal all of you. Today is a very good attendance compared to last year. I want to ask you to remain enthusiastic, to remain active, and participate in the plenary and also in the sessional groups that we will have this afternoon. The lessons we generate from the sessions will inform our future actions in terms of conserving wildlife. Finally, I can't move away without appreciating the support that we have received from the private sector, and there are a number of institutions that have participated with us, that are participating with us in terms of organizing this year's World Wildlife Day in Kyenjojo. We appreciate the support you give us both morally, financially, and otherwise. The ministry remains indebted to you, and we commit to continue working with you in this endeavor. Honorable ministers, I also want to thank the team from the ministry and the agencies that have been coordinating this effort of organizing for this year's activities. Chief Guest, I can assure you that until Monday this week, I did not know whether we should have the day in Kyenjojo because I did not have the money. I received a zero cash release, and I kept asking, will the day take place in Kyenjojo? My minister kept telling me it will. I want to report that now the organizing committee is aware that Ministry of